On this episode of What's Going On with Shipping.
Holy oh, it's going on the stacks!
We look further into the stack collapse on board the motor vessel Mississippi in the port of Long Beach. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. So yesterday I did a 30-minute live broadcast concerning that collapsing of the container stacks off the motor vessel Mississippi. I want to go back in. We've got some more detail, more video, and talk a little bit about what actually transpired there. Had a great talk with a reporter over in LA, along with some people in the port of Long Beach. So I'm going to give you a little bit of heads up what we think probably occurred and what's going to happen next with this vessel. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so be alerted about new videos as they come out. So this is the track of motor vessel Mississippi over the past 30 days. She's operating on a trans-Pacific route for Zim. The ship did a run to Vietnam, 2 port stops into Vietnam, down toward Ho Chi Minh City, up to Haiphong, and then up to Yantian in China. Made its passing through the North Pacific. Notice it took a more southerly route than usual. Typically, you'll see ships go a lot higher north. This vessel did not. So this is the arrival of motor vessel Mississippi into the port of Long Beach. This is around 1200 UTC time, about a 7-hour difference. So this is about 5 in the morning. You see Mississippi going up against the berth there, 2 tugs assisting her, and she is now preparing to do cargo operations. Now, at this point, what we would see happening is the longshoremen would board the vessel and start throwing off the lashing rigs on the vessel. So containers are locked in by their corners. They have these cones in the corner that lock them into place. However, those stacks are just vertical stacks to provide stability, to prevent the containers from swaying on the bottom layers of the containers. Now, these don't go all the way to the top. You have these cross lashings, and these cross lashings, these bars with tensioners, are on there to keep the containers kind of tied in side by side. They were thrown off early on. It's the first thing that the longshoremen would do. Now, once those lashings are thrown off, you would start moving the ship-to-shore cranes into position. There is a total of 6 here that are available to be used. Now, what you see right here coming in, you see the Pacific Patriot bringing in stacks 2. This is that emissions barge that was alongside. This vessel is actually going to tie up alongside Mississippi, place its exhaust stack into the exhaust of Mississippi, and basically carbon capture. It's going to prevent the ship service diesel generators from dumping carbon dioxide and other pollutants into the air. It basically is a capture device. So right around 8:30, here comes fireboat 15. This is the large fireboat we've seen in the videos that are going to come in here. And now we see other boats coming in, and obviously this is the rescue that is taking place. We've had this stack collapse now, and we're seeing all these rescue boats come in, and what we're looking at right here is roughly around 15:30 UTC time. This is roughly 10:30, and this is where we saw the kind of the live camera footage being taken at that time. This is post after the collapse. So this video was posted by Matt Seedoff. He's with a Fox 11 affiliate. Matter of fact, I talked to Matt last night. I did a video with him for them out in Los Angeles. This is taken from one of the yard cams inside the ITS terminal. What you're looking at here is the stern of Mississippi. So here's the stern of Mississippi. This is the port side. This is toward the berth. And one of the things to note here, and you'll see it better in another video, is that Mississippi has a distinct starboard list. She is listing the starboard. This gray structure here, this is the lashing bridge. This is so those longshoremen can get up there and put those lashings on the ship. And now those lashings have been removed. Now, something unique about the port of LA and Long Beach is that they will offload nearly the entire container load of a vessel. Almost everything comes off. That is because the ships are destined just for that port. They're not going to multiple ports. So all the lashings will be thrown off. Now, this is typical. This is very, very typical. It's not unusual at all to have all the lashings. And even with the lashings thrown off, we should not get a collapse like this. That's not what causes this. Going to let this play, and what you'll see is that stack collapse. Now, I want to take a note of a few things here in this video. So you're seeing this collapse take place. We're slowing it down here for you. It was just the end containers collapsing. That's all you would see. Instead, what you're seeing here is a stack collapse from about the third stack inboard on the port side beginning to kind of fall over. That tells me that there's either a weight issue in the containers. In other words, you have this list on the ship. Maybe cargo within the interior of the containers have shifted and are now leaning against each other. And that's going to give the nudge necessary for it to go over. Add to it a slight starboard list, and now those containers start going. The other potential here is that a container down here in the bottom of the stack has collapsed because of maybe inaccurate weight readings on these containers or the poor structural integrity of the containers. Maybe one of those containers gave way. So this is a video that was posted by ABC7, the LA affiliate here, taken by off another vessel looking at Mississippi. Now I'm going to pause this a little bit for you and show it. This is the video I had at the very beginning here. So number one, this video starts after the collapse of the after stack. So the video you just saw from Matt showed you that collapse. Here is the containers going into the water right here. You'll see what I mean here. The first, second, and part of the third stack on the port side are basically in position. Notice the list of the vessel. You can see a lot more of the red boot topping here on the port side than you can see on the starboard side. Now, there was a comment in my live stream yesterday. Somebody who was on the dock said that the ship was having issues with its ballast control. These ships have automatic ballast control. One of the things you need when you're doing container operations is for the ship to be on a level keel and not be down by the bow and stern. In other words, you need it completely flat. Because these container cranes, the ship-to-shore cranes, are going to have to be reaching into the stacks, there can't be any kind of list or margins, or else the capture devices will hit the side. So you need this ship to be level. It does not appear to be level at this time. She has a distinct starboard list at this moment. The other thing to note is they are working cargo at this point. There are at least 4 cranes in operation, if not 5 cranes in operation, working the ship. Now, this is a kind of a medium-sized container ship, 5,500 TEU, 20-foot equivalent units. A TEU is twice what you see dumping in the water. Those are FEUs. Those are 40-foot units. So 2 TEU equal an FEU, and these are all 40-footers that are going in the water. This is when you start seeing the second stack collapse. This is that stack just forward of the stack, forward of the house here. So this is the bridge structure, white structure. This is the house here. This is where the crew lives. It's where their food is. And you go down below here, you'll have the engine room right down below there. This is the stack that begins to collapse. Now, this may have been caused by that list of the ship and then the rocking motion. You've had a massive displacement of weight off the vessel. You've just lost all these containers. A container, you know, these upper containers, these aft containers, they could be light containers weighing just a few thousand pounds to fully loaded 40-foot containers that can contain up to 30 tons. But again, one of the things I think that this ship may have encountered is either one, cargo within the interior of the containers have shifted, or two, the containers have been misstacked. In other words, heavy containers were stacked on top of light containers, or we had a stack collapse or a container collapse in the interior of the stack. But because of the motion of the vessel, we're seeing a second row of containers here now begin to collapse. And it's about to collapse right here onto that emissions barge. You'll see the green emissions barge. This is Stacks 2. That tall mast right here goes up into the stack of the vessel, the exhaust. It's capturing carbon on the vessels. And you'll see actually the barge will pendulate and you'll see this mast come loose from the container ship there. You can see it spring up there. Amazingly, nobody was hurt here. Notice that they are working containers right here. Here you see the container cranes basically aborting their lifts and coming out. So we definitely have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cranes, it looks like, working here. The 6th one has its mast up, and I know there's 6 cranes on this pier. Notice up forward here as these containers go in, they were getting ready to pick a container off one of the forward stacks. Another one was going to come up here around 4 or 5 stacks aft, and they come back. So obviously word got to the crane operators to basically abort their lifts and come off. This ship just arrived that morning, so they weren't loading, they were offloading this ship. One of the key things here is the capture of those containers. A lot of these containers are going to have air pockets in them, meaning that they're going to float for quite a while. And the concern you have here is that these containers will sink, go to the bottom, maybe on top of each other, and now that's going to narrow the draft into the berths. So that was one of the reasons we saw the very quick response by the port to herd those containers into that area just aft of the Mississippi and prevent any of them sinking. So this is another video captured by Matt over at Fox LA. Again, you get the image here of collapsed containers here. Now, one of the problems is going to be the cleanup of these containers. One of the things we're going to have to deal with here is how to get these containers off. Plus, you have smashed containers, crushed containers down at the bottom of these stacks. We're going to have to go look and see what's in these containers. If there's hazardous material, lithium ion batteries, you name it, you have potential hazardous material, potentially fire hazard. And plus, you're not going to be able to use those ship-to-shore cranes very effectively because you're not going to be able to hook onto the containers like you normally do. So we're going to have salvage teams come in to remove the containers from the stack, the collapsed stacks, along with fishing them out of the water, because now you have containers that are filling up with water. The other issue you had here was that forward stack that collapsed. So one of the things we definitely got on this ship is when the aft stack collapsed and you had the ship lose weight off the starboard side, she swung to the port side. And what we saw was the containers on the port side let go. These containers are actually leaning against that ship-to-shore crane. That is Jenga precarious right there. This would be a problem to remove, is how you were going to get those containers off. Well, that problem has since alleviated yourself. We've already seen objects wash ashore. Matt has a piece where they're fishing out slippers for airlines, for example. A lot of clothing, a lot of manufactured goods, a lot of furniture. That's what you're going to see in a lot of these containers coming from Southeast Asia. So this video was posted by the U.S. Coast Guard Northern California on their Twitter account. You can see that the containers have since shifted when Matt took that image. So these containers are getting ready to come down. As a matter of fact, in this video, actually two videos, you'll see that happen. You see this top container coming off. Need to remember, that is a lot of weight that just came down there. Again, just an empty container is several tons. This is the second video posted by them, so that one container that came down is here. So on the positive side, they're going to be able to move that ship-to-shore container out of the way and be able to start working that pile to get off. So this is going to be a very extensive offload of this ship. Because of the fact that we had two stacks collapse, they're going to be concerned about potential other stack collapses. Their priority is going to be stabilizing the vessel. Last videos I saw of the vessel, it's on an even keel, so their ballast system is obviously up and running. They're going to want to get the containers off nearest the stack collapses so they have access to the collapsed stacks. So the ones just forward of the very stern of the vessel, and then the one just forward of the house, and the one just forward of the other stack collapse. That's going to be their priority, to get those off. And then they're going to have to pick those other containers off the vessel. At the same time, they're going to have to fish those other containers up out of the water, either using a shore-mounted crane or a barge-mounted crane, probably a barge-mounted crane, to be able to get in there and do it. I just want to say an exceptional job done by the Port of Long Beach, Fire Department, all the rescue associations that were in there. Very quick work, Coast Guard, you name it. They got in there, they grabbed those containers, got them out of the channel, got them into an area where they can be contained. There will be containment booms rigged up so that if any hazardous material, any sort of oil or anything like that gets loose, they'll be able to keep that in check. Obviously, this berth will be closed for a protracted period of time as they work on salvaging the containers. This is a long, going to be drawn out event. There'll be a question about why this happened. They're going to have to go back and examine every container, certify their weights, see where the failure occurred that initiated this. Typically, we lose anywhere from 1,300 to 1,500 containers a year, but almost all of them are at sea. You will have a container drop here and there in a port, but you almost never see a container collapse like this. This is like the worst container collapse in history. This is the ONE Apis. Suffered a massive container collapse. This ship suffered what was called parametric rolling, where the ship got into such a rhythm that it threw the containers off. And what you saw were containers tossed off both sides, both the port and starboard side. The ship just took rolls that were really excessive, very fast, and the containers were not stabilized for this to happen. Now, you may ask, well, Sal, why don't we keep the lashings on longer? Why don't the lashings go up higher? Why don't we do all this? It's easy. It's time and money. They want to be able to move these containers rapidly and fast. And so therefore the lashings don't go up more than just the bottom 3, 4, 5 stacks. And you throw them off quickly because you want to be able to move cargo fast. It's that simple. And in truth, we don't lose that many containers. 1,300 to 1,500 containers out of a year. I mean, those amount of containers we just dropped in the port of Long Beach, maybe 100, 150 containers destroyed all told in that drop. We brought in August of this year, 2.1 million containers into the United States. So it's a very small percentage, and that's why it happens. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, share across social media, and if you can, support the page. You hit the super thanks button down below or head on over to Patreon and become a monthly, yearly subscriber. Hey, go check out Matt over at Fox 11. Great job. He's doing a great job covering this story. I was also on Live Now Fox last night with Andy Mack. I'll have a link to that in this video so that you can go take a look at that. Till the next episode, Sal, signing off.